Welcome back, everyone, to OpenLine, talking about Tennessee State Veterans Homes. A new home is opened in Clarksville, talking about that. Happy to have with us the Commissioner for the Tennessee Department of Veterans Affairs, Manny Bears-Grinder, and also the Executive Director for Tennessee State Veterans Homes, Ed Harries. Let's go to the phones here. Let's go to Greg. Hello, Greg.
Yes, sir.
Hi. What's on your mind?
How are you?
Great. Thanks for calling in.
Listen, I live up here in Clarksville. I've been watching the home being built. I also have a barber shop, and I've been cutting military hair for years. And I wanted to know if the home would be interested, or any of the homes in the state would be interested, if a barber would go in and offer his services a couple of times a week or once a month to the veterans at no cost.
Well, that's quite an offer. Let's talk about that. Why don't I ask you that, Ed? What do you think?
We do have a beauty salon or barber shop in each of the buildings, and we have beauticians and barbers on contract. They kind of act as a subcontractor without pay to us. I'd love to talk to you. If he wants to leave his number, we can call, especially the Clarksville building, since he's up in Clarksville and we're just getting rolling there. I know we have somebody on staff, but as you know, you're not always happy with whoever is there. You know, it could want to change. So we'd like to have multiple. So I'm more than happy to talk to the gentleman.
Okay. All right. We'll give. We'll put up a number you can call. Thank you, Greg. Thank you for that offer. Appreciate it. It sounds like he's excited about the home there in Clarksville. Let's go to Roger. Hello, Roger.
Yes.
Hi. Go right ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to say we have brother-in-law, my girlfriend's brother. He's one of the four that's there, and we just wanted to say how nice that place really is. You have to go there to really see it, but it's pretty amazing.
One of the four that's there. Okay. All right. Thank you, Roger. All right. So you must know, I guess, who that is.
Vaguely, but yeah, I think we can.
And again, okay, why are there four there, and when do you expect more?
We've taken four as part of the process. Again, we're self-sufficient, have to bill Medicare and Medicaid to make our own. We have to get Medicare and Medicaid certified, so I can't take any residents who would be on Medicare or Medicaid. And we're also not recognized at this point by the VA. There's a survey that they have to come in later on down the road to tell us, yes, we'll give you VA benefits for your residents. So we take four, we hold there, and then we let the CMS or Medicare, Medicaid, let them know we're ready. Come on in, take a hard look at us. They'll take us apart, make sure we're doing things right, and they can trust us to take care of our heroes. And then after that, we get our license to go, or certification to go ahead and do that, and we'll start opening the floodgates at that point. But right now, unless you're privately paying to be in the facility, we can't take you because we're not certified to do so.
So if someone were willing to pay privately, would you take more than four? Or do you want to
consider that at this point? In fact, I think we are looking at number 5 now. However, we have that survey coming in, so we don't want to bring in a lot of residents. And right now, from the demand that we're seeing, that's the 4 or 5 number is right about what's out there.
And how long does that process take?
For the Medicare certification?
Right, when do you think the floodgates would open and all those beds would be filled?
I would anticipate we're going to have the Medicare, Medicaid certification. We're ready for it. We've already notified them. We're ready for it. We have our application, and everything's in place. We should see that in 4 to 6 weeks.
Oh, so fairly soon.
And then, once again, opening the floodgates may be a little bit of a misnomer. What we need to do is bring people in systematically so I don't overwhelm the staff as well as the building. If you think about it, I got a brand new staff, I got a brand new building, and a completely new concept for long-term care. So we've got to learn this. We've got to get used to it and make sure we're gelled before we bring in a lot of residents.
All right, let's go to Tony. Hello, Tony.
Good evening. You know, I spend a lot of time on the streets with homeless veterans. I'm a veteran myself and a minister, and I'd like to impress on you. I commend what you're doing and what you're trying to do, but I wanted to impress on you that it's going to be very difficult to get the most needy people in these places because of the PTSD issue. I've suffered from it for years myself, and because of the society we live in, it's not understood, and it's not given the sensitivity that it deserves, because a lot of times you're considered aggressive. or by nature, but just we have a low tolerance for nonsense, is what we would say. And a lot of that pertains to the coming home and seeing the spoiled, rotten society that we live in, and it's very hard to blend back in.
Right.
Spending so much time in the streets with these guys, they're very distrustful. You could compare it to being like a animal that's been kicked, and they'll bite you. They will absolutely bite you when you try to help them. Some of them, and I just want to impress upon you that to get to the people that need the most help is not going to be easy at all. When you're in the muck, you understand it, and when you're trying to do what you're trying to do, I understand it. It feels good and it looks good at face value, but it's not as easy to reach these guys as one might think.
All right, Tony, thank you. I appreciate the call.
So can we explain a little bit more about our homes? These are not shelters for homeless veterans. What they are skilled care facilities. So they're nursing homes. And in fact, another reason that we don't want to fill those beds too quickly is because then the veterans may be paying out of pocket for care that later would be possibly even free. If they're 70% or greater disabled, it's not going to cost them a dime to stay in one of our facilities. And you think about what that means not only to that veteran but their family as well. And the other veterans that are not 70% or greater disabled, the VA pays a per diem that cuts their rate almost in half.
Correct.
Right? So staying at one of our homes versus a typical nursing home does a couple things. Can cut the cost out completely or greatly reduce it, and it gives them that camaraderie of being with other veterans. They love to share their stories. They love to still have that service rivalry, the Army versus Navy, and that sort of thing. So I just wanted to make sure that the caller and all the callers understood the difference between our home and a homeless shelter for veterans.
Right, and he's, all right, so I think he may not have fully understood. His question is, how do we help the neediest? And I guess that would apply, though, to those who would need nursing home care. And so how do we help those who have served our country and are in need of this kind of care? How do we reach out to them and bring them in to the new home that you've built and the others that exist?
Unfortunately, most of our residents in existing facilities come to us after a hospital stay. So a hospital stay would trigger that need to qualify for a skilled nursing facility. Now, there's outreach agencies such as Operation Stand Down and the like, in the commissioner's offices as well, that if they're individuals that really do qualify for long-term care and they're sick enough to come to us, then yeah, we can take them in.
Okay. All right. So it's triggered by a hospital stay.
Well, in one aspect. We also have residents who come from home as well, but you have to qualify from an illness standpoint. And usually if you're ill enough to be in a nursing home, you probably had some sort of critical incident that occurred that caused you to have a hospital stay.
Right.
But it's very important to get the word out to these veterans and their families that this type of a home is available for them. Of course, you've offered us a great venue to do that this evening, but it's important that people that are listening to this show or people that hear us at our presentations share this information, because sometimes it's maybe not be that person that you're talking to, but they may have an uncle or an aunt or a sister or a brother that could benefit from this home.
All right, let's go to Gregory. Hello, Gregory.
Hi, how's it going?
Great, go right ahead.
So first off, I'd like to thank Commissioner Grinders and Director Harris for everything that both they and their organizations have done for veterans. My question is, what sets your organization apart from other nursing facilities as far as care?
All right, what sets it apart from other nursing home
The
facilities?
commitment of the staff. Our staff are dedicated to our local heroes. It's hard to describe. You have to be there to experience it. We are not profit driven. We're not worried about what the cost of something is. If somebody needs it, they get it. As Commissioner Grinder was saying, with the 70% service-connected veterans who get a free care, if they need a new toothbrush, we buy it. I mean, it's that simple. But on top of it, our vetting process for staff is pretty tough. But historically, what we're seeing is that the vetting staff of the staff on the new staff is very, very tough. They'll tell them, you just don't have the personality to be working with our heroes here. So maybe you ought to go down the street or go into some other line of work. But ideally, I mean, there are so many programs we offer and activities. We've been to busloads to the Tennessee Aquarium. We've taken to Opryland. I personally took a group from Knoxville 250 feet underground into a cavern with a geologist just for an educational experience. They loved it. They're not there because it's the last stop. They're there because they want to live, and that's what we want. We want to give them the best quality of life we can give them.
In fact, we say they're not there to die, they're there to live. And Ed, why don't you also explain about the ratio of your staff to residents?
Well, actually, with our current buildings, the legal requirement for the state of Tennessee for clinical staff is to have 2 hours of patient care per patient day. Okay, so that's 2 hours. The VA requires us to have 2.5. We regularly are running at 4.5, 4.6, 4.7, close to double what the VA requires and well above double there. Now Clarksville, so because of the way it's structured and it's a whole new thing, and this is why we got to feel our way through this process, is probably going to come in around 6.1 hours per patient day for each veteran. So that alone, you could just see how the quality would be there in the quality of life. We can really attend, and right now the 4 residents that are there, they're hours per patient day probably exceed 24 since there's multiple staff. I mean, they're getting 1-to-1 TLC right now, which is what they deserve.
Right. And I bet you see, I mean, we've heard about the World War II veterans and how we're losing those heroes. You really see that, right? Is that predominantly who is in the other houses that you have, or who makes up those houses?
Unfortunately, our World War II veterans are becoming fewer and fewer. We still have some. We have as a gentleman that was at the flag raising in Iwo Jima was in our Murfreesboro home. Absolutely incredible to talk to that man. When I was the administrator at Knoxville, one of the gentlemen there was a Pearl Harbor survivor. He was at Schofield Barracks. He told a story of the Arizona going down to bring tears to your eyes. It really was something. On and on, from bomber pilots that we took flying for their last flight to waist gunners on bombers. And it just goes on and on and on from, and not just World War II, but the stories from all the veterans we have in all the wars and all the theaters they've been in.
Absolutely. And is there one group that is the largest? Have we moved beyond World War II?
We're getting more into Korea at this point. Our average resident is an 83 to 85-year-old male. So looking at that demographic, World War II is becoming smaller and smaller, unfortunately, and of course we take care of the Korean War veterans that are coming, and we do have some Vietnam veterans as well.
Very interesting. Okay, we're going to take a break. If you want to call, there's the number 615-737-PLUS, 615-737-7587. Take a break. Be back right after this.